Hello, hello, hello. Here I am again with my next video in my request series. And this is for somebody or anyone that has a life path 7, but is helped and supported by an expression number 9. Now, your life path is the most important number in your chart. It's 90% really, roughly, of your life purpose. So it's what you're here to achieve in this lifetime. So the achievement of your life path with your birthday number as well come together to encompass your life purpose, your difficulties, your challenges, the next step essentially in your evolution. So your expression number and all the other numbers in your chart exist to support that life purpose. Now, this client is very lucky that they have a life path 7, not just that they're lucky to have a life path 7, but they're lucky that it's supported by a talent number 9, because these two numbers are quite close together. Now, the 7 is here to develop their intuitive wisdom and research and do self-discovery, look at world theories and individuals' theories, and then filter all that worldly information through their intuitive voice in order to understand what is really truthful, what really resonates with the 7. What about that theory is true and right? What rings correctly with my intuition? What doesn't feel right to my intuition? The 7 is here to look at the world, to research the world and access their intuition in order to find the truths of the world. Now, the 7 can struggle with social isolation. They can struggle sometimes to trust the world and the people within it. And they can sometimes feel that the world is actually against them. But what they need to do in that way is to develop and really learn more spiritual wisdom, to understand the balanced nature of the universe and learn to trust their intuitive voice within, because that is what is going to support them, not only to be able to live happily, but to trust, to know when to trust and when not to trust. Okay, so that's the difficulties in a nutshell of a 7 and the purpose of a 7. But the expression number 9 is the 7 with all the wisdom and intuition that, the expression 9 has the intuition that the 7 needs, which is amazing, and will help the 7 in order to gain their self-discovery, spiritual wisdom and intuitive wisdom and develop that. And that will really support their life path 7. But the expression number is also talented at communicating that to the world and leading other people, which is not necessary for a life path 7. And you have to make sure that your smartness or your ability to communicate with others doesn't overpower the fundamental learning objectives of your life path 7, because the 9 is essentially the next step up from the 7. It's taking the wisdom that the 7 wants and then communicating that to the world. And the 7 doesn't necessarily need to communicate that to the world. But what you also need to consider is the life path 7 might have sub-lessons. So if you're a life path, say 3, 4, 7, then that 3 is going to use some of that ability in the 9 to express to other people. So you're not necessarily a life path 7 on your own. Look at those sub lessons too to see how much the expression 9 can really support. But for this video, we're just going to do the 9 with the 7. Okay, so the life path 7, you're here to develop full trust in your soul's stored intuitive wisdom. And you're going to find that difficult because you're a life path 7. You need to learn to be safe, that all knowledge and experience, and to feel safe that all knowledge and experience is not out to get you. It's there to teach you lessons for your soul's evolution. The life path 7 needs to understand that the world is both light and dark, and they will go through positive and negative, and there will be people and things that they can trust and people they can't. And it's all part of the process of the 7 learning to trust the soul within them, to know who to trust and who not to trust, to know what information and research resonates with them and what doesn't, in order for them to bring the truth of the situation forward. You're here to be focused on your own inner development and intuitive and spiritual development, self-discovery. Be a thinker, a ponderer, a researcher, able to focus and balance worldly logic and intuition, as I've been saying, but also to be a free thinker, not a conformer, independent, but still able to balance your social and alone time and connect emotionally with others in a balanced way. Now, there's a lot of tasks there in the life path 7, as there is in any life path number. But your talent, your ability, if you choose to use it. Remember, we can not use our talents because we can put limits on ourselves. Low confidence being the bigger one, and we can not express our real true talent because of lack of self-belief. But thankfully, the expression number 9 has the talent to have a little bit more inner confidence in themselves. They have strong intuitive wisdom, which is really going to support that 7, but they're also idealistic, which sometimes can disrupt that intuition if they're not listening to the intuition enough. They're very spiritual, which again supports that 7, trusting of faith over logic, again, very much the 7 thing. I mean, the 7 still needs to take account of logic, but it's the intuitive voice that should have that last word. Faith over logic, okay? The 9 is extremely ethical, extremely responsible. They act with integrity and they ensure that they improve the well-being of others using their wisdom and knowledge. So this client could be a very talented spiritual teacher. They have all the wisdom behind them and the ability to ethically communicate that information to others and be full of integrity about it. This is very much the spiritual teacher's kind of number sequence, because the 9 is very humanitarian. They want to help other people. You know, they're excellent communicators. They can influence others, and they can be a teacher, a counselor, advisor, and an entrepreneur that markets their passions and their wisdom. Looking at the life path 7 on its own, that communication could overpower the 7. However, look at those sub-lessons. The 2, 5, 7 is about performance and actually communicating that to the world. So if you're a life path 2, 5, 7, this 9 really going to be helpful, as well as 3, 4, 7, you know. So don't forget to bring those sub lessons into play. But for the life path 7 on its own, it's about that inner development and pushing forwards, and developing yourself, and your intuition is the most important thing. But remember, don't forget those sub lessons. But the expression 9 is really supportive of the 7. So breaking down that life path number 7, you're here to learn to have faith that you are a spiritual being, to walk the spiritual path, to know that you are an immortal soul that has experience from other multiple lives that you've had in the past, or actually I shouldn't say that because time doesn't exist in that way, but that's another video. You must trust the soul within you, your intuitive voice. You've had many lifetimes. You've got lots of wisdom stored in the soul that you can really draw upon, and it's going to make itself known to you through gut feelings, inner voice that says to you, don't do that, or yeah, do that. And be careful as well. You've also got to understand that there's a chimp in your head as well. And it will sometimes try and stamp on your intuitive voice by telling you you're not good enough, or you know, making you lazy, and maybe next week, maybe tomorrow. You know, don't let the chimp take over your intuitive voice. So it's trusting the soul within you, listening to and following your intuition without overthinking and applying too much worldly logic. They should be balanced, but your intuitive voice should be the deciding factor, and you should feel safe to communicate your soul wisdom without fear of ridicule to others, which the 7 can sometimes fear. But your 9 talent energy gives you all the talent you need to access and trust your intuition. You're talented already at accessing your intuition. Marvelous. You have the ability to link to your inner voice and your inner gut feelings, and you're talented at also communicating that spiritual wisdom and lore and intuition to other people, so that you can be a teacher and advisor. So support your life path 7, which remember is your priority. Pay special attention always to your inner voice or your gut feelings, your inner emotions, anything that makes you think, hang on a minute, and then communicate your wisdom to your followers as much as you can, with confidence and charisma that you are communicating very good and healing wisdom that will improve the well-being of other people. You're here to trust that the world isn't against you. It's both light and dark. The universe is everything existing in perfect balance. It's like a cosmic library of all the knowledge and experience that we all have to experience, light and dark, I'm afraid, in order to learn and evolve. You know, you're not going to learn about the other side of the coin if all you learn about is love and compassion. That would be great. But you've also got to see the other side of the coin in order to learn and evolve as a soul spirit energy. So your 9 talent energy will help you to reconcile this mistrust with your ability to channel spiritual wisdom naturally and teachings and wisdom and insights from source energy and from your intuition. You see all experience as a 9 as a potential learning opportunity for your soul's evolution and development, which is really useful. So supporting that life path 7, you need to understand that all experience, both negative and positive, is necessary. And even people in your life that have done bad things, they're actually there for a reason, okay? To bring you a lesson, to help you learn an embedded lesson. And the important thing is that you find that embedded lesson and then you are able to learn from it. Excuse me, I get so involved with my speaking and in this dry conservatory air. This is a new part of my house, so it's got all the new insulation and things in it that you have to have now in this world, and it makes the air in here really dry, so I often start coughing throughout videos, but I try and go back from the microphone, as I think I've terrified the life out of people in the past by suddenly going Weh! And terrifying the life out of people. Anyway, getting back to my video, you've got to understand that all experience, both light and dark, is that they've all got lessons within them. Find that lesson. Then you'd be less focused on the misery that might have come to you from what someone else has done to you. It's about learning that lesson. All these experiences are necessary for us to have opportunities to evolve. Every experience is full of lessons to learn within that experience. So keep that in mind as a life path 7. For focus for this lifetime, your focus for this lifetime is inner development. Now, that's just for a 7 on its own. Remember, you've got to consider those sub-lessons too. But if you're a life path 7, just a 7, your focus is your inner development. Rather than outer development and success and getting out there and blah. You must develop yourself constantly as a 7, self-discovery, spiritual wisdom, intuitive and spiritual development, meditation, spending time in nature. This is all imperative for you as a developing 7. Your 9 talent energy in the expression number 9 makes you able to support your inner development and, of course, your outer development as well. You're multi-skilled with the energy of all the numbers within you. When you're a talented 9, you can kind of turn your hand to anything, which isn't good for focus because it makes it difficult to make a decision. If you can do everything, how do you make a decision on what to do in this lifetime? Heads up, your soul urge number, and of course, whether it supports your life path should be important in your decision-making process when you're a talented 9 trying to find direction. So you're multi-skilled with the energy of all the numbers within you. Your multi-talents could spread you too thin and prevent you from achieving anything because there's too many things there and you haven't focused enough on one thing because you can just do anything you want. And if you haven't decided where your focus is as a talented 9, you could pretty much turn your hand to anything. And as your life path 7 can struggle to focus as well on any one subject, this is something that you might find difficult. So focus is really important for this client. But to support your life path 7, prioritize. I mean, you've got to consider those sub lessons as well. But even then, prioritize, because the 7 is the most important of any life path number. More important than the sub-lessons is what I mean. Prioritize your inner self-discovery, your spiritual development and your awareness that you are a reincarnating spiritual being, and trust that spiritual intuition with anything that you may do or or experience in this world. So it's all about that inner development. Even if the sub lessons are 3, 4 or 2, 5, the inner development is your focus. But of course, you've got to bring those other energies in too. Like a 2, 5, 7 should communicate their wisdom really strongly with the world and cooperate with others. The 3, 4, 7 should emotionally communicate their wisdom with others and build security with that strength and that wisdom. So it depends what your sub lessons are, but the priority should still be your inner development when you're a life path 7. You're here to learn to be a problem solver, an intelligent thinker, a studier of theories, the metaphysical, the big questions, and other people's theories on those ideas. You need to research, learn, analyze theories, and accrue the wisdom that you actually already have inside you anyway, but you'll accrue this wisdom in this lifetime. Okay, your 9 talent energy gives you the ability to be both a thinker and a doer. And sometimes, of course, depending on the 7's sub-lessons, the doer can overpower the tasks of the 7, because the 7's more the thinker. But the 9 can be both the thinker and the doer. They have the energy of both within them. They're also spiritually talented and intuitive and able to study spiritual laws, concepts, wisdom. And this is all very supportive of the life path 7, as long as the communicating outwards doesn't overpower the energy of the 7. So support your life path 7 by analysing those theories, those world theories and spiritual concepts to accrue intuitive wisdom and truth that resonates with the soul within you. You're here to learn to filter, as I keep saying, all that information that you read, all that researched wisdom, and filter all that through your intuition. How does it feel to you? You know, does that bit of information feel intuitively right or intuitively wrong? Because you will study loads of theories and you'll only take bits out of many theories that resonate with you, and then you can bring that together to create something new, to create your own wisdom that you can then, depending on your sub lessons, communicate with others in whichever way but loose. So you can be too analytical because you're here to balance the two. There's going to be a difficulty, of course. So you can be too analytical and ignore your intuition, or you can be totally spiritual and intuitive and isolated and ignore everyone else in the world and totally only focus on what you think. But you need to bring a balance. You know, you must balance the two. So as a 9 talent number, you've already got excellent intuitive ability. You know, it's already there, so you're lucky there. You're able to study other people's theories and ideals as a 9 while listening avidly to the intuitive voice within you to ensure that you resonate with what you learn and throw away what you feel does not resonate with you. So your 9 energy will help you listen to the world through the eyes of a sage, of a spiritual teacher. Use your 9 sagey, spiritual, teachery abilities to help you achieve that balance between worldly analysis and spiritual faith for your life path 7. And remember, your spiritual faith is the clincher. You know, even if the logic, you know, if you get to a point where the logic is going, oh, it tips that way, but your intuition is still going, I feel it's this way. Make sure when you're in that kind of quandary and it's not obvious which way to go, that you go the way of the intuition, and make sure you keep your foot on the head of your chimp to make sure he doesn't, or he or she doesn't say, well, are you good enough? Can you do this? You know, can you really trust the world? I really think the world is against you. You know, that chimp we get in our head. We got to learn to put our shoe on that chimp and let our intuitive voice shine through. You're here to be a free thinker as a 7. You're not here to conform. You're here to be less interested in the popular culture and what everyone else is wearing, what everyone else is doing. You know, you're not interested in fashion or appearance or makeup or even mirror stuff. You know, 7s don't tend to spend much time in front of the mirror because they don't care enough. They're not interested in conforming to the world. And that's what a 7 needs to be. So if you're already like that as a 7, then great. Don't change from that. And it might make you feel a bit different and out of place and lonely, but this is part of your learning. You know, you're not here to conform. You're here to find the real truths of this earth using your intuitive voice within you. And if it makes you feel different, then you're following your path how you should be. Your 9 talent energy means you're already quite the rebellious free thinker. This is again where this number really supports the 7. You're not a follower as a talent number 9. You're a leader. You will not just follow the crowd anyway. You know, if the concept doesn't resonate with you, you're not just going to follow the crowd in order to fit in. That's not what the 9 is all about, which again is really supportive of that life path. 7, you're more likely to influence others the other way round with your spiritual wisdom than be influenced by others, which is a great thing. So support that life path 7 by being that proud free thinker and a spiritual teacher, but still keeping in contact with those around you. You know, you don't want to isolate from the world, but remember, you don't have to think like them. You can bring new truths and new wisdoms to this world as a free thinker. You don't have to just follow the rules of the paradigm. You're here to find truth as a life path 7. You're here to develop the ability to focus. Remember, I said the 7 can be a bit scattered. And when you're a talent number 9 that can turn your hand to anything, this can exacerbate your difficulty with focusing and making a choice on what subject to stay focused on, say like a 5 would be. So you're here to develop the ability to focus on something long enough to develop it into something useful. Now, I understand all this. I'm a life path 7. So you can be a little scattered, unable to focus on one spiritual or self-discovery topic at a time because you're always so excited looking at all the subjects. And when you're a 9 and you're multi-talented and you're multifaceted, you can do anything you set your mind to, which is not going to help you to choose your focus. Now, when you have these 2 numbers and you're struggling to choose, it's a good thing to look at your soul urge number and see what wisdom that can bring you in the direction that you need to go. Because if you go in the direction of your soul urge number, you'll understand which subject's really going to burn your heart more. So if you're this client with a 7-9, 7 life path 9 expression, and you are struggling to focus your talents on any one subject, go to your soul urge number and see if that can offer you any other insights on what's going to make you happy and what choices to make. But make sure that that soul urge number is still supporting that life path number. It's not an easy task. So support your life path 7. You need to choose a spiritual specialism or a self-discovery specialism and focus on this subject past the point of boredom. Just keep focused on it until you've achieved something useful from it, until you've learned everything you can from it and done the best thing you can with that information. Like me as a 7, I've really focused on my numerology and everything surrounding numerology, and it took me quite a few years to do that because I'm in expression number 5 who's already scattered. Until they find their mastery, they're already scattered. And then you've got the 7 that struggles to focus on any one subject. So I've been doing numerology from childhood, but I still had loads of other things around the outside of it. And I've basically cleared things out and focused like a radar on my numerology. And that's kind of what the Life Path 7 Expression 9 needs to do. They need to find their focus, find their passion so that they're not scattered anymore, so that they are able to focus on one spiritual and self-discovery subject at a time. So support that 7, choose that spiritual specialism, focus on that subject until you've achieved something useful from it. And even further than that, especially as you know, these 2 numbers are very much the spiritual teacher. You just got to choose your focus and your medium. You're here to be interdependent, self-sufficient, but also healthily dependent on other people, to understand that you may like to do everything yourself, especially as a 7. You can be quite fiercely independent, but you shouldn't push other people away because it's quite delusional to think you can do everything yourself. This is the fundamental truth. We're all interconnected. We're all here to help and be helped by each other. And that's what the 7 really needs to get to grips with, so that they don't push other people away and think, I'm going to do everything myself. Okay. Your 9 talent energy doesn't like help either. They don't like asking for help. But you're very social, you're very communicative, you're fun-loving and charismatic, but you're not likely to ask for others for help in a hurry, which can cause an issue with your interdependence and mean that you're doing too much for other people and not getting enough support for yourself. because the 9 can feel and really struggle to, they love to give help, but they can struggle to ask for it because they feel it's a weakness, or they should be the one helping everyone else, blah blah blah, and they can not ask for help from people, and that can be a bit of a difficulty for this client. You can also, as a 9, you can be a bit of a fixer, and you can push into people's lives a bit and do too much for others. Remember, everyone's got to walk their own path and learn their own lessons. You've got to make sure you don't overstep their path and do too much. You've got to know when to stop giving help and know when to ask for help too. It isn't weak to ask for help from others. Remember, we are all interconnected and we need to give and receive in equal measure. So support that life path 7. Ensure that you give and receive in equal measure for balanced, healthy interdependence. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and be careful you don't do too much for others. Make sure it's balanced and that you're giving and receiving in a balanced way as much as you possibly can. The 7 is a well of deep emotions, but, they need to reconcile them, because people can often think that a life path 7 is aloof and they have no emotions whatsoever, But what happens with the 7 is 7s bury those emotions deep because they're often too scared to express them to others, because some 7s are still fearful of ridicule from others. So you're here to learn to deal with and reconcile those seething, sensitive emotions that you have within you. Others may think you're aloof, but you are really a well of deep emotions. So you need to use those emotions to connect with others. Connect emotionally, both to yourself and to other people around you, and make sure you're splitting your social time 50-50, because as a 7, you have a tendency to isolate yourself a bit too much. So your 9 talent energy means that you're extremely passionate and you're extremely emotional, which can really help you channel all those seething emotions from the 7, but can also be a struggle, because all this emotional energy can be a struggle to deal with for this client. They may sometimes struggle to deal with their emotions and either explode or pack them all away and hide them from other people. But your 9 talent means that you care for many people, and this can make you potentially distant with those close to you, because you're a humanitarian, so you might be helping people afar so much that you haven't got enough love and attention for those that you love, those that are close to you, those you need to connect emotionally to. So sometimes the 9 can spread you too thin and actually exacerbate your difficulties as a 7 from connecting emotionally with others, because 9s can also hold people at arm's length. And to prevent those emotional connections and hide their heart a little bit. So this client needs to make extra effort to make sure that they are socializing and connecting with others, others that they trust through their intuition, remember. So support that life path 7. Allow yourself to connect with others on a deeper, more emotional level that you trust intuitively. This may make you vulnerable to having your heart broken. It always does. But learning and the learning and the rewards, they're the payoff, because having no experiences with relationships is going to teach you nothing. You're going to have to jump off the cliff and have the experience and make that effort to connect with others. It's all part of your purpose as a life path 7. You're here to learn to balance your alone and your social time, because remember I said the 7 can isolate themselves. They love to be alone. They love to research alone. They love to work alone. And they've got to be careful they don't isolate themselves beyond what is healthy. But the 9 talent energy is more social. They have charismatic social skills and leadership skills, which can overpower the 7 depending on what the sub-lessons are for the 7. But remember, it is all about that inner development. The 9 also has the talent for lone spiritual study, which is great for the 7. And for a balance of that alone and social time. The 9's already got that potential with them, and they need to use that to support their life path 7, balancing that alone and social time. Again, I hope my video was really useful for you today, especially the people that requested this video and anyone else that is a life path 7 and expression number 9. I have several courses on Udemy about numerology. If you want to learn to be a practitioner, that's in the description box. I've got books coming out, which is really exciting. And the books are really strongly linked to my Udemy master course. But they can be used by anyone that wants to have a deeper and more fundamental understanding of numerology and how to read a chart. If you'd like a reading from me over Zoom or a PDF reading, I'll do whatever reading you want me to do, forecast reading, life purpose readings. Just contact me, send me an email, or contact me through social media, or even leave a message on my description box. But I'll probably ask you to email me directly anyway if you do that. So send me an email if you'd like a reading, and you can put questions and comments on my video descriptions, on my comment boxes, if you'd like to request videos. I've got quite a long list of requests at the minute because my books has been taking me away from my channel. Very naughty. So I've got about 11 or 12 people on my list. So please let me know if you'd like a video request. I will get to you. Might take a few weeks, but I will get to you. But even if I've done a video, even if I've told you loads and loads of stuff, you've got to trust the soul within you, okay? Because only the soul within you knows what's best for you. See you soon.